The Republican Party's dysfunction, incompetence, and inability to responsibly govern hit a fever pitch yesterday when their weak speaker, Kevin McCarthy, lost his job. It's gotten so bad, folks, that the Fox Propaganda Network and other prominent right-wing figures are openly furious or openly despairing. But before we unpack all that, if you haven't yet, please hit that like, subscribe, and the alert bell. Maybe check out my Patreon. I'd appreciate the support. All right, folks, this is going to be the prominent story, at least for the next few days. Kevin McCarthy, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, or rather, the former Speaker of the House of Representatives, was ousted from his position yesterday in an historic vote. He's like the third shortest-serving Republican Speaker. He was the first in history to be ejected during a legislative session. Abject humiliation. And in response, it's gotten so bad that people who are sympathetic or usually in lockstep with the Republican Party in the media, like the Fox Propaganda Network, are openly furious or despairing at the turn of events. So that's our cue to bask in their misery. So let's do that together with a couple of clips.
The cover of the New York Post, here you can see right here, Kevin McCarthy, that's his picture. The headline is, McCarthy, first House Speaker ever ousted after coup by Florida Representative Gates. Gates of hell is the headline. And right now, you know, after the Republicans worked so hard to finally get a slim majority in the House of Representatives, total chaos. And now to a lot of the country, they're looking in. Hey, the Republicans finally got the chance to drive the car. They're in a ditch.
Well, this is probably going to happen anyway.
Well said, Mr. Ducey. Well said. It's absolutely the case. I mean, that just goes to show that if, you know, the car is the metaphor for government, then you never hand a Republican the keys. They're not a responsible driver. We've got some more here from Peter Ducey, as well as like Brian Kilmeade as well.
Here's what the Wall Street Journal writes on their op-ed. They've got the lead op-ed is Republicans cut off their heads regarding, and these are the Republicans who voted. Andy Biggs is one of them. The Wall Street Journal writes, Mr. Biggs argued on the floor that the House hadn't passed the 12 annual spending bills on time, but that's because of demands from members like him. He and Mr. Gates offered mainly a list of grievances and supposedly failed promises that had no chance of being realized as Congress. The real motive looks to be spite, personal and political, and the result is to sow chaos in their own ranks. And to that, they certainly did, because now the House that has a slim Republican majority looks like they can't govern.
They have a strong case when you go to these swing districts and say, look, you saw the chaos in the House. You got to put a Democrat in charge. Give Hakeem Jeffries the gavel.
And that's from Brian Kilmeade, right? Ducey is, you know, he occasionally makes reasonable points, but we never hear reasonable points from Brian Kilmeade. And even he, just in a defeated tone, he's like, listen, Republicans are making a strong case that they can't govern, and Democrats are the only game in town for responsible governance, which is absolutely verifiably the case. Here's Ari Fleischer, another, conservative commentator. This is what he has to say.
The Republican Party today just can't govern. Nancy Pelosi, with a 5-vote majority, she was able to govern. The Democrats have become the party of discipline, and the Republicans have become the party that lacks discipline.
Again, well said. This is simply a verifiable fact. Anyone who says otherwise is either an ignorant, or like somebody who's ignorant, or they're a liar. There's also this great thread by Madeline Peltz, who I don't know if she's updated it, but this was as of 5:30 yesterday. She was, accumulating clips and quotes from right-wing public figures who are reacting to Kevin McCarthy's ousting. So you have Steve Bannon, a former Trump supporter, who's like, he thinks it's an incredible day. He's happy about this. Tommy Lauren, who used to be, I think, on The Blaze, she says, before removing a speaker, you should probably figure out what the hell you're doing next. Otherwise, it's just more grandstanding BS for attention and clicks. She's not happy. Some are attacking Representative Tom Emmer as a possible replacement. Emmer played a central role in sabotaging MAGA in 2022. Only stupid dumbasses would support going through this all over again, meaning we can most likely assume that Republicans would line up behind him. Michael Savage is attacking Fox News because he's happy about the situation, and he's displeased that Fox News isn't happy about the situation. Kayleigh McEnany, who was Trump's former press secretary, and also she is currently a Fox News host. She says 3 takeaways. Number 1, Democrats always stick together. Republicans don't. Number 2, the chaos is a manifestation of not having a red wave. A narrow majority means that a few have power to overtake the whole. Number 3, the more conservative continuing resolution with spending cuts and border funding failed, and instead we got a worse bill. McCarthy out could mean a Democratic-leaning speaker voted on by all Democrats and just a few moderate Republicans. A quest for perfection can backfire. Tim Pool, hiding in a skateboard compound in West Virginia, is excited. He says, F yes, Matt Gaetz is doing the Lord's work. Congressional obstruction is greater than GOP backroom deals with Democrats. Molly Hemingway seems to be straddling the fence. Laura Loomer, who our buddy Luke Beasley recently interviewed, you should check that out if you haven't yet, says, victory today is a great day for MAGA and a major blow to the Uniparty because she believes that the Republican Party and Democratic Party are effectively one. Meghan McCain is having a tantrum. She says that Matt Gaetz is the problem here. I didn't realize we all collectively voted Matt Gaetz president of Congress, Senate, and all of American politics, and we're just at the mercy of his whims and tantrums. That was basically the case when Donald Trump was in charge. He didn't have much to say about it at the time. And it kind of sucks, doesn't it? I will say, it's kind of funny. The list goes on. I won't bore you with the rest of the list, but suffice it to say that right-wing public figures are in disarray at the moment with disparate reactions. It is kind of funny, I will say, to those who are upset with how things, unfolded with Matt Gaetz, who, by the way, is awful. It does kind of stink, doesn't it, when the majority is held to the capricious whims of the minority, when the minority can, impose undue influence over the majority. See, what's funny is you all love that. Republicans and conservatives, all of you, all of the conservatives, no matter where they fall on this, on the battle lines here, all of them love minority rule because they recognize for the most part they're in the minority. The Democrats are usually more popular, more numerous, and their policies are more popular too. So they love minority rule, except when it comes to inter-party politics. And then they hate minority. Why should Matt Gaetz and a handful of Republicans dictate everything for the majority? Well, golly gee, it does suck, doesn't it, when you're beholden to the whims of a bad faith minority. I have no sympathy for Republicans here. You reap what you sow. You want it. You want minoritarian rule when it benefits you, and then you complain about it when it hampers you. It's funny how that works. So anyway, those of you who, again, are watching, keeping track of the media, just bask in the glory, bask in the satisfaction of the Republican infighting. A Republican Party which infights is less effective and less dangerous to the country, and that's good for America.